From the future of Citadel Mall to 526 to infrastructure in District 7, I sit down exclusively with Charleston City Council member Keith Waring for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and download my free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Keith Waring. Well, Dr. Keith Waring.
You were right the first time, Keith.
Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Always good to be with you.
I appreciate it greatly. Just a few minutes ago, you were telling me that you watched my interview with your opponent, Reverend Kirsten King.
I did.
And I know that from her website, well, actually her Facebook page, she said the following in concerns about you and what's going on in City Council and obviously her election bid. She says this quote, "Over the past few years, I have been concerned about the lack of connection and communication with our current Charleston City Council member. I truly believe that anyone that runs for office should be invested and focused on the greatest good for the community." Let me ask you this, Keith. How connected and how has the mayor been communicating a lot of issues concerning District 7 in your mind?
Well, let me try to address what she said.
Sure, please.
Okay. To get the full answer to that, I think you have to get it from her. I'm born and reared in West Ashley. I was born in West Ashley in 1955. So when it comes to what West Ashley is and what West Ashley can be, I'm born and bred to represent that. I think sometimes you get in a race and you think you try to identify a problem and you try to blame somebody. But in races like this or elections like this, in particular what I call grassroots elections, talk about solutions. Talk about what you're going to do. My opponent is a nice lady. She and her husband are nice people. I know them. But the issues that affect West Ashley and the work that has been talked about, but now the action steps need to take place. I know what the funding sources are. We've begun to get some funding with working in collaboration with my colleagues on council to begin to get monies from what normally would go to the city of Charleston and what I call unfair way now being appropriated to come West Ashley for some of its improvements.
What is your connection to the community, particularly District 7?
As I said, I was born in District 7. I raised my family in District 7. Not only I raised my family, I was raised in District 7, and my wife and I have been pleased to own a business since 1982 that has grown and fostered West Ashley.
West Ashley. How have you been communicating with your citizens over the past 4 years?
Well, again, I think that's political speak on her part. The reason she met me was in part a request she had in her community, and I came over to try to address it. And I go obviously to the neighborhood association meetings, just as she has, not only in Ardmore, Sherwood Forest, but certainly all the areas West Ashley that have neighborhood association. And when people call you to come, I come.
I asked her this doing Quintin's Close-Ups, but can you tell the average person how city government works?
Well, one thing I'd like to do is, as was taught to us in our old civics class, the government that is closest to you really is the one that's most effective, because they're the ones that actually get things done. In other words, Washington may appropriate money, and those dollars may go to the state, but when those monies come to the county and the city is when it affects you and me. So when that recently, in particular with the recent storm we had with the delay in trash pickup and debris pickup, believe me, I've heard from my constituents, and certainly you try to get the sanitation people there to get it cleaned up. Recently I was going to a city council meeting last week and got a call from a constituent, and en route to the meeting, in between West Ashley and getting to Broad Street, I'd already called the public service department and had a truck dispatched to go out to hopefully solve the problem. So also on the local level, you're not tucked away in Columbia, or you're not tucked away in Washington. When you go to the grocery store, you run into your constituents. And believe me, they don't wait till city council meeting. They tell you their problems right then. And if you're good at what you do, you're going to write it down so you can respond. Because you can't remember everything mentally. In our district, I think we have somewhere around, I don't know, 11, 12,000 constituents. So you're going to be able to run into people on a frequent basis. And that's a good thing because you got elected doesn't mean you all knowing. When you get elected, you have the privilege of serving others. And you have to listen to them to find out what the needs are.
She also said this on her Facebook page, quote, "But when I saw that no one was going to run against current Councilman Keith Waring, I could not sit on the sidelines any longer because I feel all city council members should use communication and collaboration that sets a good example for our children. Attacks on the mayor is not the best interest of the city or our community." What does she mean by attacks on the mayor?
There's obviously been disagreements with Mayor Tecklenburg. And obviously, Mayor Tecklenburg supports her. It's been obvious in her campaign. There are times when, and I'll give an example, over the last 18 years, I asked City Council and staff to prepare. There's something called a tourism tax dollars. Accommodation sales tax along with hospitality taxes. Hospitality tax we all pay, not just the tourists. Anytime you go to a restaurant or you get served a drink or you get served food and beverage,
right,
we all pay that tax.
Right.
Prior to my being elected to council and some other members being elected council, Bill Moody and Marvin Wagner and the like, 100% of the time, 100% of those dollars stayed downtown on the peninsula, never coming West Ashley, because the mantra was tourists don't come West Ashley. And we said, you mean tourists don't go to Magnolia Plantation, tourists don't go to Middleton Place, they don't go to Drayton Hall, they don't go visit the Angel Oak Tree on Johns Island, they don't go to McLeod Plantation on James Island. It just wasn't true nor accurate. Well, over 18 years, the city had collected $305 million. Prior to 2015, and from 2015 to the current date, and we're about to enter the budget,
right,
and we'll get more, we got $5 million to come West Ashley to make needed improvements. And that's been not because of the mayor, that's been because of, it's been in spite of the mayor. The mayor hadn't even made those suggestions for those dollars to be appropriated. Those suggestions came from council members who got elected. The citizens said, we need improvements over here, and we fought for those dollars, and we had the majority of votes on council to get that done. But previously, $300 million had been spent, had been collected and spent on the peninsula with zero coming West Ashley, James Island, and Johns Island. That's just not right. You can't tax people and they not see the results of their taxation.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's.
Oh, that's it? When she said tax on the mayor, are you looking at this as saying, hey, I'm trying to look out for my constituents, I'm not attacking the mayor?
That's exactly what I look at. For example, the pulling together the $305 million total, the mayor wasn't for that. Council was for it, and we wanted that to be published so people could know. Listen, when it comes to property taxes, all the citizens in Charleston get a pretty fair break when it comes to appropriate police protection, sanitation, drainage out of the drainage funds that we do have. Well, let me put drainage to the side for a separate question. But certainly police, fire, and recreation. The citizens of Charleston monies is spent in a fair way. The dollars that are collected from tourists are not, okay? And yes, that is a struggle if the monies had been coming to the peninsula and all of a sudden the people, West Ashley, James Island, and Johns Island say, what about us over here? They need to be heard because and acted upon because they're paying that into the city. Certainly some should come back. For example, 20% of the hotels, we always talk about hotels on the peninsula, about 20, maybe not quite 25% of the hotels are west of Ashley. Now why shouldn't some of the accommodation sales tax come to make improvements West Ashley as it has done on the peninsula? Yes, we have to fight for that. The mayor has said he's moved West Ashley, he lives West Ashley, but I defy you to find one instance where he had the original thought to appropriate $1 million West Ashley, or even 500,000 West Ashley. Those appropriations, those original thoughts and those ideas were put on the agenda by members of City Council and passed by members of City Council.
City Council. Okay, if you're looking at the actual current TV ads right now with Seekings and Tecklenburg, who's right and who's wrong?
A lot of it's not true. Okay. For example, the mayor has said that he's, for transportation, accumulated responsible for $1 billion in transportation funds. Our total budget for the city is $200 million, and I'd like to know what account was that billion deposited in. We just had our audit. It didn't show up $1 billion. What he's doing is stretching the truth. He's the half-cent sales tax that was passed generates about 600 or so plus or minus $1 million. That was a county initiative. Now, obviously, I won't say we all were, because there was some division. Some people were for it, some were against it. But that was a county initiative that many of us got together to support. Citizens and elected officials alike. When it came to the agreement with the $420 million to build hopefully extend the 526.
Right.
Again, that was a county initiative. So the only way I can guess that he gets to $1 billion, I guess he's taking all the credit for passing the half-cent sales tax initiative and agreeing with the CIV to fund $420 million. So that's the only way I can see how he would even get funny math to get $1 billion. So that is just not true. The $60 million that Councilman Seekings is talking about for the low battery wall, again, what account has that been deposited in? Where are the dollars? All that sounds good, but we deserve, you don't have to do that to get elected. You don't have to come up with hyperbole to get elected. And I think you find that eventually people will come through the fog and hopefully make the right choice.
A lot of division is going on right now, obviously, about the proposed 526 expansion. A lot of people are for it and some people are against it. How will that help District 7 in your mind?
I have always been for the expansion of 526. 526 ends, or I would say spills out, into District 7, right on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard by Citadel Mall over there. That's in my district that I'm pleased to represent. Many of those people, if they could go straight to Johns Island, wouldn't even be on Savannah Highway. That traffic wouldn't even have arrived at Sam Rittenberg. When people live on James Island and Johns Island, they live, I'm gonna say north, or they work north, not live, but work north. If they work at Trident Tech, or the Naval Weapons Station, or at Boeing, or take your pick, Charleston Southern, or Trident Hospital, they have to cut through West Ashley to get to their destination. If 526 was complete, that traffic would be on a road designed for that, and not the neighborhood streets that a lot of this cuts through. So the additional traffic on Savannah Highway, the additional traffic on St. Andrews Boulevard, trying to get to I-26 would be alleviated, creating more capacity on those two streets. So that's why I'm for it. You know, you find people identifying, saying, well, he's against this or he's against that. Come up with a better solution. Come up with a better way to build additional roads to alleviate traffic. We have people moving to the area. Charleston has certainly been discovered. We can't build a wall and say no more new people. We certainly accommodate every citizen that wants to come and live here, but our infrastructure needs to reflect that. And given the volume of traffic that we have west of the Ashley, and frankly in the region, we need 526. And I'll go one step further.
Okay.
Tell me a portion of 526 that's been built, that's been a bridge or a road to nowhere. The James Island Connector, do we use that? Do we use 526 from West Ashley to North Charleston? Do we use it from North Charleston to Daniel Island? Do we use it from Daniel Island to Mount Pleasant? Where's been the wasteful spending to say, oh, we didn't need that road, take it down? We use it like to no end. As a matter of fact, it's coming up on 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Go on 526 right now, certainly between now and 5, and report the traffic that's there. It's an idea that was 40 years in the making. It was a good idea, but it's never been completed, and it's time to complete it.
I know something that you want to complete really is the future of Citadel Mall. Where are we with this in your mind?
Well, for when I first got elected, it was in receivership.
Right.
Okay, so it was coming out as a form of bankruptcy. We now have a local buyer who we all know, and we root for him. There's a planned unit development right now that's going to be on tomorrow's City Council agenda,
Right.
October 8th. I've been in contact with the principal there throughout the process, and it's not ready yet. It's vague, and it doesn't have enough specifics. One of the advantages of doing a PUD, and that stands for Planned Unit Development, is a lot of information is put up front, and that's to the advantage of the developer, it's to the advantage of the residents, so they can know what's coming next to their neighborhood, and it's to the advantage of the city. There are a lot of non-specific information right now in that PUD, and in its current form, in my opinion, it's just one person speaking, it wouldn't pass in its current form.
What information you want, Keith?
I'll tell you what. You mean from that development?
Yes.
Yeah. For example, anytime you do a subdivision, if you're going to build a house or even an office park, there's certain things called setbacks. You have to have a certain amount of feet from the front of the road, on each side of the building, and on the rear of the building.
Right.
And the PUD says 0 setbacks. So what that means, you can build right up to your property line at the front, on both sides, all the way to the rear property line, which means the building would occupy the total land mass. Now that's what's according that's into the PUD right now. It says what is the minimum lot size and what's the maximum lot size. The minimum lot size right now is 0. The maximum lot size is 0. If that's not non-specific, I'd like to know what it is. So if you can build out to the property lines, where's the green space going to be? And if you're going to have that kind of capacity, seriously, how are you going to get the volume of people in, and how are you going to get the volume of those people out? When it comes to the roads and the connectivity, they speak to it, but they don't show it, and they don't lay it out in the site plan to say, this is where the additional lanes to get in and out will be, this is where the bike lanes is going to be, this is where the pedestrian pathways will be. None of that specifics is in there. It speaks to a height of 25 feet, and if you just Google, a quick search of Google, the tallest building in South Carolina is the old AT&T building in Columbia.
Oh yeah.
On the corner, I think it's Capitol City office building now, on corner Assembly and Gervais Street. It's 26 stories. But on that corner, you have 6 lanes. 4 dedicated lanes in each direction for both Assembly and Gervais, on-street parking, sidewalks with medians in the middle for pedestrians being able to cross one way or the other. Now let's take that and look at Sam Rittenberg.
Oh yeah.
We have 6 lanes, no on-street parking, and no pedestrian medians to cross from one side to the other. And that's with the existing situation. So if you're going to build additional capacity, what is that capacity going to be? And right now we're told it can be as high as 25 stories. Each story is roughly 10 feet, says 250 feet potentially. By comparison, the road that we drive on top of on the Ravenel Bridge, I think is 187 feet. So do the math, and Charleston's an area that was founded in 1670,
Right.
and change will come, but not that much change.
That site plan, what do you want to see exactly in that?
If I were to ask you, or you were to ask me, and I know that's your rule. You know, how many units? What's the capacity? Some of that's in there. Okay. For example, 1.4 million square feet of office space. That's in the site plan. 1,025 apartment units. That's in the site plan. And it goes on. Where's that going to be? Located on the site. How you going to get in? How you going to get out? Orleans Woods is a well-entrenched community that I'm pleased to represent. What's going to be the impacts on the surrounding community? If you build it, if you are going under the premise, if you build it, they will come. Are they going to be able to come conveniently? Is it going to have rippling effects that would be negative to the surrounding communities, which right now are low to moderate communities on Savage Road and certainly Orleans Road and certainly Orleans Woods. So I have been elected to represent that voice, and that voice is going to be heard on this PUD and those surrounding areas. Those people's voices are going to be heard. And right now, 25 stories is just too tall.
Unfortunately, I think the batteries were going out.
Okay.
But let me ask you this quickly, and this will be a yes or no question. Roy Willie, you sent me the email. You said in that report, with what you seen, only funds contributed came from PTTLC. A business name search at the South Carolina Secretary of State's site revealed that PTTLC was established by Roy T. Willie II, and on January 2017, articles of termination were filed by Roy Willie on April 3rd, which in item 4 says the company has wound up its business and terminated its legal existence. That is, yes. On August 16, 2019, PTTLC attorney Roy T. Willie writes a check to fund the filing fee for Christian King to run for City Council seat District 7. How much was that check?
Well, the check was for $200, and you have an attorney that's writing a check on a corporation that he terminated 4 months prior and said it had ceased all business, and told the Secretary of State in South Carolina it ceased all business in the state of South Carolina. 4 months later, he writes a check. I truly believe that Ms. King and her husband doesn't know that. I feel empathy for them because she's somewhat dependent on Roy to assist her in this campaign, and Roy's not being given her full disclosure. So that's an issue that I certainly, business shouldn't simply be conducted like that in South Carolina. I don't think attorneys should conduct business like that in South Carolina, and I will certainly ask for a review of the bar in the state of South Carolina, because how many other, I don't know, but does he have any other LLCs that's been terminated to do business in South Carolina that he's writing checks from? Sometimes people operate in the shadows, and I guess when you do business in the shadows, that's the way you conduct yourself. I don't agree with that, and I think that shouldn't be part of anybody's election or anybody's campaign.
And also, in this email, you said Roy T. Willie was, quote, a special assistant to the mayor. In reality, he was a political operative for the mayor, as you said. What was his responsibilities as a special assistant mayor? Assistant to the mayor, I should say.
Well, we disclosed that portion. The mayor paid him $150 an hour to come and attend city council meeting, unbeknownst to the members of council. They got so free with spending other people's money. Again, these tax dollars are not our money. We're the stewards, if you will, of the citizens' tax dollars. They got so free with it until he actually stayed home and looked at city council meetings on television, and they paid him at $150 an hour. See, that's something you shouldn't hide. If you think that's right, let everybody know. That shouldn't have to be dug and discovered. And when we found out about this in November or so of 17, we meaning city council.
Right.
We actually told the mayor under no uncertain terms, and I say this at city council meetings, so this is public information. If Roy T. Willie IV was in the city budget in 2018, the budget wouldn't pass. Subsequently, Roy T. Willie IV was removed from the budget. We should not be spending almost $83,000, $84,000. That's only part. Our understanding that, according to the mayor, that there are invoices from January 18th, possibly through the end of 2017, that have yet to be submitted. So we don't know the bottom to this story yet, but yes, I disagree with the mayor spending monies like that, and yes, I will vote against that kind of spending. So when my opponent says that the audit went too far, is she condoning that kind of spending of taxpayers' dollars? I don't know. That's something for the taxpayers to find out about and hopefully make a choice between she and myself.
And obviously on Quintin's close-up, she says that the audit, the mayor has overstepped his bounds and that they should pay Roy in accordance to his contract. What was in that contract?
She doesn't know. You know why? Because there was no contract. There never was a contract. Not only that, you know, a lot of times before you get into contractual work with attorneys, they have something called an engagement letter.
Right.
There was no engagement letter, there was no contract, and there was no scope of the work. So that's a clear, I'm glad you asked that question, that's a clear indication that she is having talking points of Roy Woolley and Mayor Tecklenburg on that subject. And again, the people should know that.
And do you guys have any copies of the payment schedule from Roy Woolley to the from the city to Roy Woolley?
There were invoices that he submitted. It wasn't a payment schedule as
Okay.
such that I know of. I haven't seen to answer the question. I haven't seen a payment schedule. He would submit invoices for attending city council meeting or attending meetings with staff and the like, and he would submit a dollar amount and we would pay it.
Okay.
We've again found all this out after the fact. We're going to put an end to that. Now, if she gets elected and want to continue that, she should go forward and tell the people in District 7, in her neighborhood, and all around, certainly the city, that if she's elected, she wants Roy Woolley to be working for the city. She wants the mayor to continue to hire attorneys with the quality of work that does business from corporations that's been terminated to do business in South Carolina. And that's a clear distinction between she and myself. I do not want to do that because I think the taxpayers deserve better. If she does, on November 5th, the people will have a good choice.
And I know in our last interview with for Quintin's close-ups, you talked to me about, I'm stumbling over my words today, but the Freeport.
The Free Boy?
Right. How's that going?
It's still a work in progress. Council is very, I think everybody is very well informed on it. And again, the real subject are existing homeowners who, they have a rule that says if you get more than 50% damage to your house, you have to bring it up to current standards. Now, and it's primarily a FEMA rule, but it's really geared towards flooding. So if your house were to catch a fire, or a tree falls on it, or knocks off a wing of the house, or you know, you have an electrical fire, you have a tornado that damaged part of the house to the point of having 50% damage, it had nothing to do with flooding, you should be able to repair your house in place. We have not solved that question. Council members are fully informed on the issue, but I can tell you, it would, if that Free Board Plus 2 passed in its current form, it will eventually end up to displacement of a lot of homeowners in the existing neighborhoods that exist today, because I don't know any neighborhoods today that have first floor elevations at 15 feet mean level. So that's a big difference between the mayor and myself. Now, one thing we did get passed recently was one of the valuations that they use to determine are you at 50% damage or not, is they would go to the assessed value, the tax assessed value of your property, where everybody knows that's a low value. People don't sell property at the assessed value. They sell property at the market value.
Right.
Well, if we're going to make that determination that your house has reached substantial damage, we passed an ordinance that says, and I proposed it, do not use the assessed value, use the market value. And if the homeowner disagrees with the market value, prior to that determination being finalized, the homeowner has the right to go out and get their own appraisal to say, my house is worth more than that, I have not reached the 50% threshold, and yes, I can repair my house in place. I don't have to bulldoze it down or jack it up off the ground. Because many houses, in particular in the subdivision that my opponent lives in, many houses are on slabs. Well, if those houses were to hit substantial damage or 50% more of damage, I've never seen, I'm not saying it can't be done because engineers say if you have enough money they can do it, but I've never seen a house that's on a slab have rails put underneath it and raised up off the ground. Now, I've seen the house that's what we refer to as a crawl space that you can put rails underneath and jack it off the ground. But I have not seen that on houses on slab. And the Ardmore and Sherwood Forest neighborhoods are some of the neighborhoods that I'm fighting my hardest to protect. Because if that rule were to pass at the assessed value, or if you don't give people an exception for substantial damage for something other than a flood, they're going to be in jeopardy. So should we have another major hurricane like Hugo, or some of the traumatic hurricanes that hit areas close to us, if that were to happen, and I don't think it's if, it's when it's going to happen. It's been 30 years since Hugo. I'm not wishing for it. I hope we have another 30 years without another devastation like that. But eventually, it's going to happen. Who's protecting the rights of those people to fix their houses in place in the aftermath versus having to tear it down and begin again? That's a very serious, in most cases, the value of a house may be, in most cases, the largest asset that any individuals own. They don't even realize this is happening to them. I don't even realize if she realizes it's happening to her house, potentially. So, as I say, the governments that's closest to you are the ones that's more effective. It is not Washington, D.C. that's trying to do this freeboard plus 2. It's Mayor Tecklenburg. The FEMA rule is freeboard plus 2 would be 15.5 feet. FEMA rule is 13.5. They want to go 2 feet above the federal government requirement.
Okay.
And the cost to carry you that additional 2 feet, they're saying you pay for it, but they didn't tell you that. So that's why we've been holding this up. It is a major, major expense that most people just don't have that pocket change to raise a house up and repair it at the same time.
Oh man, I wish I had someone. I wish I had more battery here to ask you some more questions. I wanted some follow-up questions.
It's been a good interview. We can always do it again.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Take care.
Likewise.
All right.
Thank you for being on Quintin's Close-Up.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You too.